dr.sito.com.
Yeah, I mean, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, because we're in commercial break and you kind of spilled coffee all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, this stuff costs money around here,
Well,
Dr.
you know,
Narcisse.
someone has to like baptize your place.
EBR School Superintendent Dr. Sito Narcisse is here with us on set, talking about where the school system is at this point in the year. In fact, Dr. Narcisse recently conducted a press conference where he talked about performance in the district, and this is one of the slides from that presentation that deals with accountability within the district, Dr. Narcisse. And as you can see here, it talks about your 6 keys to success. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I became superintendent of Baton Rouge, one of the first things we wanted to do was engage the community and various stakeholders, whether it was neighborhood families, folks that were nonprofit organizations. The university worked with LSU, Southern University, BRCC, and everybody that supported children in the city to come up with what would be the keys for success to help Baton Rouge move forward. And we came up with these 6 keys: expansion of early childhood, making sure that kids can read by the 3rd grade, also making sure we expose careers to kids as early as possible, and then our Pathways of Bright Future, where children get to take, starting from the 9th grade, advanced classes, AP, dual enrollment, and then industry-based certification with internships that we pay for kids doing $15 an hour. And, and as you can see, you know, all of those things, as we've been just slowly putting that together over the last 2 years, are starting to yield results.
So let's talk about the district performance. One of the times, and Kyle, that monitor is flickering on me. We got the one here in the desk. Data release talks about where we're performing. How are we performing now versus where we were?
Yeah, so we actually have now reached the pre-pandemic levels. So this was before we went into COVID. We were at a certain level with progress, and then, you know, the pandemic came and kids started to fall behind. And so now, when you look at our rate, we're actually getting to a much higher rate where we were past, and so kids are actually improving at a faster rate right now.
So, you know, you talked about the numbers of performance, the Pathways program that gets kids further along when they graduate from high school. Some of them can graduate with an associate's degree. It does save them money and time in an effort to get to a 2-year or 4-year degree. But there are still people who question the efficacy of the district overall, right? We still have a high percentage of males, specifically African-American males, who are behind grade level and reading level. What are you doing to address that?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the district now, we have about 2/3 of the schools in a district that are progressing right now.
Right.
That was not what we walked into in January 21 when I became the superintendent. I tell folks, and the reality is, you know, when you're trying to improve kids, you have to do systems over time and be consistent with that. What has happened in EBR is when something hasn't worked, they start changing it right away, and they don't give it time for teachers to get used to working with kids. And then we also put more support structures. So we have a great program that you help us support with at Glen Oaks. Glen Oaks and Struma.
Just there, saw that,
I mean, those kids were kids who are actually staying in school. You know, just getting kids to stay in school has a larger improvement of kids being in there. So there's a lot of work that's happening there. And the other part is, I think was really, we're telling where people are really excited is we have about 93%, when you look at our progress report for how many schools have progressed, 93% of those schools have progress, A, B, and C. That has not happened in our district. Forever. And so we're in a great place, but we still have a lot of work to do. You know, things don't happen overnight.
I got a couple minutes and I want to get into a couple of other things with you. First up, your contract. You gonna stick around?
Yeah, that's the goal. That is the goal. I'd like to.
So tell me where that is.
Right now, you know, I can't really talk too much details about it, but we're in conversations.
Well, you can tell us, it's just you and me.
Well, you know, my goal is to be superintendent of East Baton Rouge for a long time, but I also want to be the most effective leader that works with the community. And so I believe in this work you have to have a community approach. And so I think I'm hopeful that my goal is that you know, we'll be able to resolve that.
Well, what are you hearing from your board members? I mean, are you optimistic based upon what they are saying to you?
Yeah, I mean, our board, I think we have a really good board. They're trying to you know, move the district forward. There's been a lot of subset of challenges in EBR that have been historical beyond me. They want to tackle some of the most plague issues, I would say, that the system has never addressed. And I think that's a part of getting the system to do better. So we're moving in a great
optimistic
place.
about it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So if you get renewed, lunch is on you. All right. So let's talk about the situation with in the last minute here about the buses. Where's that at now? People aren't talking about it anymore. Where are we?
Yeah. So I mean, we are picking up kids. We still have a few glitches here and there, but it's not like what we walked into. Bus operators are showing up to work. You know, our challenge was we had two gaps. One was the bus operators, and we didn't have enough buses. So we're right now working on looking at purchasing a large amount of buses. So we're trying to work through that because of supply and chain demand and those things. And then after that, we work with some community partners around certain schools that have collection points. And so we've been working with the community to kind of solve those problems. So that's where we are now.
Well, Dr. Narcisse has agreed to be a guest on the audio podcast for a much longer conversation about what he's doing in the district and what his goals are for next year as we get to that midway point in the school year. But again, you can go to the school district's website to learn about how EBR schools are performing, and then we'll tell you when Doc is going to be on the audio podcast. And then quickly here, I got 20 seconds, your number one goal for next year, for the second half of the year.
Yeah, continue the work around early child expansion and helping our kids to support to do well and keeping kids in school.
There you go. Yeah. All right, let's talk a little college football and the NFL. Couldn't find anybody else, so Matt Moscone is going to be here to talk with you next.